Hello, my name is Irfan. So today me and Mariam will be discussing on tax rate and tax knowledge. I will be presenting on tax knowledge element whereby Mariam will be presenting on the tax rate elements. So there are three elements of tax rate and tax knowledge that we'll be discussing on. Firstly is the definition that we found in the articles. Second is our understanding of those tax rate, and knowledge based on those articles. Lastly is the suggestion for IRBM to increase tax compliance in Malaysia in aspect of tax rate and tax knowledge. The first definition of tax knowledge is from Muhammad Rizal Palil. He said that tax knowledge is an essential element in a voluntary tax compliance system, particularly in determining an accurate tax liability. The second definition of tax knowledge is from Antoine Genes Grigor. He said that tax literacy can be described as having the knowledge, skills, and confidence to make responsible tax decisions. The definitions of tax knowledge is also from Muhammad Rizal Palil. He said that tax knowledge are divided into 7 categories, which are the knowledge about the taxpayer general responsibilities and right, employment income, dividend and interest income, personal relief, child relief, rebates, and the awareness of offences and the penalties. The fourth definitions of tax knowledge is from Hasseldine, J. Hollands, and K. Rich P.V. Tax knowledge can be referred to the processes by which taxpayers become aware of tax legislations and other related tax informations. The last articles that we found on the definition of the tax knowledge is by Asrinanda. She said that tax knowledge is used by taxpayer for the tax information in taxation, such as calculating, paying, and reporting the amount of taxes deposited.
Next, we have 5 definitions of tax rate. The first definition of tax rate is tax rate gives little statutory tax burden to the taxpayers and may have significant bias into the analysis of tax incidents. The second definition of tax rate is based on the custom harmonized system classification. They said that the tax rate has an impact on the dollar paid for the import and export of the goods in and out of a country. The harmonized system is a standardized numerical method of classifying traded products. It is used by customs authorities around the world to identify products when assessing duties and tax, and also for gathering statistics. For the third definition is, there are 2 types of tax rate, namely proportional system and flat tax rate. Malaysia tax regime, that is IRBM, has applied a mixture tax rates towards different types of income and different income bands. For the fourth definition is, the tax rate have mixed impact on tax compliance. For example, in decreasing tax rate does not necessarily always increase compliance, and increasing tax rate will not necessarily always decrease compliance behavior. For the last one is, the tax rates are usually changed in a yearly budget which is presented by the Minister of Finance.
Based on the 5 previous definitions of tax knowledge, we can conclude that based on our understanding that tax knowledge is an information related to tax that is supposedly known by the taxpayer. These include knowing their responsibility, income declaration transparency, and how to more or less estimate the tax needed to be paid.
Tax rate is the percentage at which an individual or company is taxed. Our country uses a progressive tax rate system in which the percentage of tax charged increase as the amount of the person's or entity's taxable income increase.
Based on the research by Oladipupo and Obazi and Asrinanda, found that tax knowledge has positive effects on tax compliance. In other words, it can be said that higher knowledge of taxation does lead to better tax compliance. Now, we'll be discussing on how to increase tax compliance through tax knowledge. First recommendation was to include taxation as a complementary subject for every university student in Malaysia. This is mainly because they will be start working, have their own income and eligible to pay income taxes. Hence, they should know their responsibility as a resident of Malaysia to pay taxes. Second option was to spread awareness of tax knowledge through social media. As for now, people do search information through many social media platforms. For example, in TikTok alone, there is a vast majority of influencers sharing beneficial information regarding financial management and so forth. And they got huge attention from the viewers. I believe if IRBM could share taxation knowledge through such platform, they are able to educate people on the importance of paying taxes. Therefore, there will be increase in percentage of people paying taxes in Malaysia.
From our findings, we can see that the most empirical studies on the impact of tax rate support that high tax rate have a negative impact on tax compliance. And experimental evidence for the negative impact of high tax rate is reported by some scholars. In 25 periods, participants received an income, paid tax, and were randomly audited and fined. During the session of the experiment, tax policy changes were introduced, including a change of tax rate that is 10%, 30% and also 50%. When the tax rate increased in the experiment, participants' compliance decreased. The experimental evidence absolutely strengthens our findings. Tax rate is an economic factor. It is because tax rates are charged based on the income of the person. The economy will affect the person's income and it might be a burden for people. Based on our opinion, the government and the tax authority should consider a fair tax rate of different level of income. When there is a fair tax, it can ensure that everyone will feel that they have their own responsibility to settle the tax payment. It also can ensure that everyone pays a correct amount of income tax and decrease the people's burden to pay high tax rate, thus improving the tax compliance level.
I think that's all we're about to say for now. Thank you, goodbye and Assalamualaikum.